I'm gonna have to do some video farming because my schedule is going to be so trash for the next 2 weeks that I can see in advance that I get off from work late to where I won't have time to make vids. So if you see me wearing the same outfit for like a whole week, it's because, like I have said before, some videos I post the day after I make them, or two or three, whenever I get around to it. I did take showers in between. You're gonna have to trust me. Use my hair as guide. The way my hair looks, that'll tell you if it's the same day or not. Stressless, kind of long. If things get overwhelming, give yourself permission to leave the situation, take a breather, and come back to it later. I actually did this in my last shift, but it was more for physical reasons. Out of the blue, I had to gesture to my manager like this, and I turned my light off, put my sign up, and I ran to our office so that I could go back there and do something about my sciatica. There's like this little exercise that I can do to help relieve that pinched nerve sensation I get on that left leg. He didn't say anything, he didn't bother me, nothing like that. But it was starting to get overwhelmingly painful because when it hits, there's like no way for me to really stand that's comfortable. Sitting doesn't make it better. Standing doesn't make it better. Stretching, for sure, it's stupid. If that nerve is irritated, then you don't want to have your legs stretched out. And basically, all I had to do was like sit and start like stretching my leg out. And when my knee is bent, I look down, and when my leg is stretched out, I look up, and somehow that helps. It really relieves that inflammation, that tension, whatever it is. And I usually would have waited or ridden it out or been like, oh my God, it's about to get busy. I don't want to leave my other cashier by themselves, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, no, 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 no. I think the reason I ended up fucked up in the first place is because I kept postponing my well-being for these reasons. And another thing I have done before, it's same thing when I have had to do self-checkout. When it becomes unbearable for me mentally, I see that crowd, that noise, I see clowns standing really close to me, no sense of personal space, I have deserted the area. I went to my manager and I was like, manager, I'm leaving this and I'm going to upper management. And I went up to upper management looking for advice. I was like, can I talk to you? And when they see me, they know it's highly unusual for me to talk anyway. Seeing me, they didn't hesitate at all to take me. They were in the middle of something, and I guess they must have seen like something in my eyes to where they were just like, okay, you can leave the area. The second manager who was there, you can leave the area and then let us have a talk. And I pretty much expressed myself. I said, look, I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm not trying to be dramatic. I'm not trying to be blah, blah, blah. But I want to express myself on why it is imperative that I be kept away from this specific spot. Like, I get jittery, my chest starts tightening, I start hyperventilating, I see these fools coming up in my space, and some of them try to touch me. I tell them not to touch me in advance, like, please don't touch me. And they still do it. I take a step back and they don't get it, blah, blah, blah. I'm pissed, blah, 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 please help. And they took action pretty quickly. Our manager went downstairs to speak to my management, and I don't know how this conversation went, but after that, for a while, for a very long time, I didn't have to worry about doing it. And I said, look, I can support it as long as it is very short term. Anything longer than 10 minutes, I'm definitely not going to be able to do, because it just happens. It always, 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 always happens. And then my immediate manager was trying to tell me, they're just trying to be friendly. Maybe that's something that you can change. And I'm like, no, 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 no. For me, touch is a form of control, and I don't give away control easily. And maybe you should learn that too. To me, establishing touch is a bond, and I don't need to be bonding with these fools, even if it's something like casual, it's just polite. I don't like being touched by strangers. Like I have said before, to me, it feels like a stab. It feels like fire. It heightens my stress in a way that it takes me a long time to recover from. Now, if it's a friend, if it's someone I know, if it's someone I'm tight with, if it's someone that I'm woo with, then sure, touch me. I probably need it. But strangers? I have my guard up, my defenses up. I'm happier that way. I feel better that way when my feeling of overwhelmedness kicks in. I take action. I used to try to push through it, try to toughen myself up and endure and try to celebrate later that, oh my God, I survived through that difficult situation. And I'm like, no, this was infuriating. This was humiliating. This was absurd, ridiculous, disrespectful, etc., etc. So now I call it for what it is. Surviving that stuff is not brave. It's stupid. It's lowering my morale. And it's just debasing me is what I feel like. Now that I'm more savage about that, I can tell you I'm a whole lot happier. And I just wish that I would have let go of that properness approach that I had toward things a little sooner, and maybe I wouldn't have suffered as much. But I think it's difficult because back in the day, we had a more, I guess you could say, stern management that really didn't back you up like that. And now that I have had management that's definitely non micromanagerial, it just allows me to explore my techniques better as opposed to having someone telling me how to do things. And I'm like, how come my performance was lower back in those days than now? And it's because when you give me freedom to explore my technique, experiment things on my own, etc., I get to hone my skills in the best way possible for me, and I adapt, and that makes me adept. But if you try to micromanage me and push your style onto me and shit like that, you're hindering my growth. Who would have thunk it? Nowadays, I only feel overwhelmed whenever the crowds are there and I'm by myself. But at least management now seems to keep a closer eye on those things, and they immediately take action. That bullshit of me being by myself for hours doesn't really happen anymore, because I looked at it as, I understand that people have quit, but if that means that I'm going to be punished for being left behind, I will consider leaving too. Maybe that's what I need to do. See what I mean? So anyways, you guys, that's it for me on this one. Thank you so much for tuning in. I like to talk about things that are like that. When your senses are overwhelmed, when you feel something to an extreme, because even if to the outsider that doesn't sound like a big deal, I guess it's important to understand that person, why they feel that way, how they got to that point, if they can explain it. Because some people just feel the way they feel and they just say, it's just the way I am, and they never really explain how that happened. I like to be able to explain that it's the way I am, what led me to being that way. I have an explanation for everything, and I think it's important for you to know how to express yourself. Okay, that's it. Bye.